Brought to you by ABC, the Angelic Broadcasting Channel. ABC!
We want to welcome you tonight. We want to welcome you tonight. 'Cause Jesus loves you, and He wants to be friends with you. So listen as we come to explore how we can know Jesus more. We want to clap with you, high five. We want to clap with you, high five. 'Cause Jesus loves you, and He wants to be friends with you. So listen as we come to explore how we can know Jesus more. We want to dance with you, let's jive.
Let's jive.
We want to dance with you, let's jive.
Let's jive.
Jesus loves you, and He wants to be friends with you. So listen as we come to explore how we can know Jesus more. We welcome you.
Have we started? Hey, good people. Merry Christmas! Oops.
Merry.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
When did you get here?
oh, I was here all along.
I
You said
didn't.
Merry Christmas and I got excited.
Good. I love Christmas.
I did.
It's amazing. But oops, one thing I forgot. It's still Advent. I do that all the time. I just love Christmas. The anticipation, it just makes me so excited. Everybody just seems so happy.
Yeah.
The expectation of love, the coming of Christ as a baby. Yeah. Do you remember that little sign you had? Jesus kid?
Oh,
I think it
the
said.
one on my shirt.
Yeah.
That parrot ate. Yeah.
Oh, the parrot.
Yeah, he gobbled it up, thought it was a cracker.
I guess he was hungry.
Yeah.
So I hope that goes down well, because I don't
well,
know.
you know.
You like my hat?
Yeah, oh, I love it. I wish I had one for me.
I can't see if I can get it. Oh, nope, I can't get it over.
Oh, that's all right.
So, yeah, everybody just loves what happens at Christmas. What happens at Christmas? Do you know?
Well, you get lots of presents if you've been good, but
Yeah.
some of us haven't been. But and then you see some flying deer go over your house and
yeah.
jingle your bells.
But who was born on Christmas?
Well, my sister's friend had a birthday on that day, but I think I forget. What about you guys out there? What do you think? Who was born on that day? I forget. Let me check my
Christ,
book.
Christmas, Christmas.
Christmas, Jesus. Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly. So
Oh.
Jesus was born
How
on that
could I
day.
be so not so smart?
The stars in the bright sky.
how's it going? Oh, I'm so excited. This is gonna be awesome. I love story time. And this is one of my favorite books. It's called The Crippled Lamb. And it's written by Max Lucado. And I love this story because well, I'm not gonna tell you the story ahead of time. We're gonna read this story. Once upon a time, in a sunny valley, there lived a little lamb named Joshua. He was white with black spots, black feet, and sad eyes. Sometimes we have sad eyes, even at exciting times like Christmas. Sometimes. Josh felt sad when he saw the other lambs with snow white wool and no spots. He felt sad when he saw the other sheep with their mums and dads because he didn't have a mom or dad. But he felt saddest when he saw the other lambs running and jumping because he couldn't. Josh had been born with one leg that didn't work right. He was crippled. He always limped when he walked. Anyone know anybody with a disability like that? I know sometimes I've had injuries and it's very tough from sports and things like that. That's why he always watched while the other lambs ran and played. Josh felt sad and alone. Except when Abigail was around. Abigail was Josh's best friend. She didn't look like a friend for a lamb. She was an old cow. That's a little different. A cow and a lamb? She was brown with white blotches that looked like rain puddles on a path. Her belly was as round as a barrel. Mine's getting there too. And her voice was always kind and friendly. Some of Josh's favorite hours were spent playing with Abigail. They loved to pretend they were on adventures in distant lands. Josh liked to listen to Abigail tell stories about the stars. You ever look up at the stars on a beautiful clear night? They're so beautiful. They would spend hours on the hill looking into the valley. They were good friends, but even with a friend like Abigail, Josh still got sad. It made him sad to be the only lamb who could not run and jump and play in the grass. That's when Abigail would turn to him and say, "Don't be sad, little Joshua. God has a special place for you. For those who feel left out. Trust God, He has a plan." Josh wanted to believe her, but it was hard. Some days he just felt alone. He really felt alone the day the shepherds decided to take the lambs to the next valley where there was more grass. The sheep had been in this valley for so long the ground was nearly bare. All the sheep were excited when the shepherd told them they were going to a new meadow. All except Joshua. As they prepared to leave, Joshua hobbled over and took his place on the edge of the group. But the others started laughing at him. "You're too slow to go all the way to the next valley. Go back, slowpoke. We'll never get there if we have to wait for you. Go back, Joshua." Ever had anything like that happen? I think we've all gone through stuff like that at times. That's when we need to trust God the most, that He's got a big plan that's good for each of us. That's when Joshua looked up and saw the shepherd standing in front of him. "They are right, my little Joshua. You better go back. This trip is too long for you. Go and spend the night in the stable." Joshua looked at the man for a long time. Then he turned and slowly began limping away.
Boy, I know I'd have tears in my eyes. When Joshua got to the top of the hill, he looked down and saw all the other sheep headed toward the green grass. Never before had he felt so left out. A big tear slipped out of his eye, rolled down his nose, and fell on a rock. Just then he heard Abigail behind him. And Abigail said what she always said when Josh felt sad. Don't be sad, little Joshua. God has a special place for those who feel left out. Slowly the two friends turned and walked to the stable together. Boy, this doesn't seem like a very happy, Christmassy story, does it? By the time they got to the little barn, the sun was setting like a big orange ball. Josh and Abigail went inside and began to eat some hay out of the feed box. They were very hungry, and the hay tasted really good. For a little while, Joshua forgot that he had been left behind. Go to sleep, little friend, Abigail said after they finished eating. You've had a really hard day. Josh was tired, so he lay down in the corner on some straw and closed his eyes. He felt Abigail lie down beside him, and he was glad to have Abigail as a friend. Don't you love that? Anybody got any pets? Every time I sit down or something, my little doggy comes up and has to be right up against me, cuddling in. It's beautiful. Soon Joshua was asleep. At first he slept soundly, curled up against Abigail's back. In his sleep he dreamed. He dreamed of running and jumping, just like the other sheep. He dreamed of long walks with Abigail through the valley. He dreamed of being in a place where he never felt left out. Suddenly, strange noises woke him up. Abigail, he whispered, wake up. I'm scared. Abigail lifted her big head and looked around. The stable was dark, except for a small lamp hanging on the wall. Somebody is in here, Joshua whispered. They looked across the dimly lit stable. There, lying on some fresh hay in the feed box, was a baby. A young woman was resting on a big pile of hay beside the feed box. Joshua looked at Abigail, thinking his friend could tell him what was going on. But Abigail was just as surprised as Josh. Josh looked again at the woman and the child, then limped across the stable. He stopped next to the mother and looked into the baby's face. The baby was crying. He was cold. The woman picked up the baby and put him on the hay next to her. Josh looked around the stable for something to keep the baby warm. Usually there were blankets, but not tonight. The shepherds had taken them on their trip across the valley. Then Joshua remembered his own soft, warm wool. Timidly, he walked over and curled up close to the baby. Thank you, little lamb, the baby's mother said softly. Soon the little child stopped crying and went back to sleep. I'm going to cry. This is so beautiful. About that time, a man entered the stable carrying some rags. I'm sorry, Mary, he explained. This is all the cover I could find. It's okay, she answered. This little lamb has kept the new king warm. A king? Joshua looked at the baby and wondered who he might be. His name is Jesus. Mary spoke as if she knew Josh's question. God's Son. He came from heaven to teach us about God. Just then, there was another noise at the door. It was the shepherds, the ones who had left Joshua behind. Their eyes were big and they were excited. We saw a bright light and heard the angels, they began. Then they saw Joshua next to the baby. Joshua, do you know who this baby is? He does now. It was the young mother who was speaking. She looked at Joshua and smiled. God has heard your prayers, little lamb. This little baby is the answer. Wow. Joshua looked down at the baby. Somehow, he knew this was a special child. And this was a special moment. He also understood why he had been born with a crippled leg. Had he been like the other sheep, he would have been in the valley. But since he was different, he was in the stable, among the first to welcome Jesus into the world. He turned and walked back to Abigail and took his place beside his friend. You were right, he told her. God does have a special place for me. Oh, I love that story. It's so beautiful. You know, and over here, you know, we have a little setup of a nativity scene. And that, you know, that stable was kind of like, it was almost like a little cave. And they might have had, you know, some wood across the front to keep it warm. And so we've got an angel here who would have told all these sheep that had been off somewhere. And they had to come all the way back, but not Joshua. Here's Joshua right in here with baby Jesus. And, you know, God was just saving him. He had a plan. God has a plan for each of us, a special place. And Mary, just like Mary had to go and give birth in a place like that to be safe, you know, and just so we know that we're not alone. And Abigail over here, you know, do you have a grandma or grandpa or some other friend who is always there for you, a best friend? You know, lots of times we feel left out. Lots of times we feel left behind. And it sometimes takes a while, but God uses those things. He has a plan. Just like we don't know why God took so long to send Jesus, and we don't know when he's coming back, but we can trust that God has a special plan for each of us. So I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas with all the joy and hope that God is sending your way. Amen.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding.
Brought to you by ABC, the Angelic Broadcasting Channel. Tonight on ABC, starting at 7, it's Touched by an Angel. At 8, it's Touched by an Angel. At 9, it's Touched by an Angel. At 10, Touched by an Angel. At 11, we're pretty sure it's Touched by an Angel. At midnight, it's a Touched by an Angel overnight marathon. ABC, your Touched by an Angel channel. For all eternity.